How we doing, everyone? And welcome back to the Health Bar. Really appreciate everyone, as always, listening and watching this. It's been such a pleasure speaking to the people that I've been speaking to, and it's been great. So I've really kind of enjoyed the way the podcast has been going, and I hope you guys have as well. If you're new and you don't know what we are or what we are and what we do, we are a mental health within gaming podcast. We talk all things about mental health within gaming. So is it good? Is it bad? Is it everything else? Some people obviously find it good. Some people find it bad. So that's kind of the stories we're coming across by talking to people. With myself, I always start the podcast off with my own mental health. So this week, my mental health has actually been quite good. It's weird because the last podcast we actually mentioned about me having some comments on some of the videos that I've been putting out, and also some of the TikToks. Some of my TikToks have gone quite crazy, and with that, because they've gone crazy, they've then obviously attracted positive but also negative comments, which is quite interesting for me because it's the first time it's kind of really happened. So but we kind of spoke to my other half about it, and obviously friends and all that kind of stuff, and it's one of them things. I'm a lot better about it now, so it's kind of gone over my head, so which is all good. So apart from that, my mental health this week is it's good, so always a positive. Also, as well, we talk about gaming news, but when I talk about gaming news, it's normally mental health within gaming news is what we try and speak about on the podcast. So we have come across a story last week, which is actually published by the BBC, and it was about kind of how they don't see any harm in gaming for your mental health. And it's actually really interesting because this is a story on that, and this is the actual official story from Oxford University, and their title for this is "Gaming does not appear harmful to mental health unless the gamer can't stop." So really kind of interesting article. It's got lots of kind of things. This is the largest ever survey. They actually it was 40,000 gamers that they took place in this, which is crazy, and it was over 6 weeks, which is really good. It's really interesting. So I will put this up so everyone to read. But as I always say, and this is what they've said here: if you can't stop, so moderation is always the key, I think, with gaming. And as long as you know your limits, I think, me personally, I think gaming is good. It's been very good for me. So yeah, it's a really interesting article, but it's good because, as I say, it's actually done by University of Oxford, which is nice. And obviously the BBC picked it up as well, which is even better. Cool. So we are going to introduce our guest today. I have actually messed it up, and his name is IAmSideEfx. And he actually mentioned this before even coming on, and I still forgot to change it. But anyway, so I call him Side anyway. So, but yeah, his name is IAmSideEfx. But all his details and links will be in the descriptions and comments anyway. But I'll tell you what, without further ado, it's easy because then he can introduce himself. So welcome, Side. How we doing, man?
Bro? Yeah, not too bad. How are we?
Yeah, very well, mate. Very well.
How's your day? How's days?
It's good, mate. It's good. Like, the weather's been shining, although I had to run
be
out.
Fair, mate, the weather's been getting to me recently. I cannot lie.
For you guys that are south, or south than Glasgow, which is quite a lot of obviously people. Yeah, the weather's crazy hot.
It's not even just that. It's, because I'm in a new build house, all the installation's new, so it's keeping the heat in the house.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm sat here like I'm gaming away on Tarkov or whatnot, and I'm just like, yeah, right. Need a sweat rag or something, mate. It's horrible. It is horrible. But yeah, everyone, IAmSideEfx. How we all doing?
So yeah. Introduce yourself then. SideEfx, what do you do? Do you stream? What games you play?
Yeah, I stream everything from Tarkov to Minecraft, COD when I can play it, if I can play it.
Yeah.
PC is not the best. But yeah, my mental health journey really started when my recent dog passed away 2-3 years back.
Yep.
He was like my rock, as if you want to say that.
Yep.
it's like losing a family member when you lose a pet, and
Yeah.
it really hit me at a low point because I wasn't happy in myself and where I was anyway.
Mhm.
And then also I wasn't happy with where I was working and the whole scenario. And then I think the death of the pet just wrapped it all in a bow and tied it, and I've
Yeah.
been suffering with it ever since, with
You know,
anxiety, depression, severe agoraphobia.
Yeah, I remember when it happened because how do we know each other? Is it from Mixer? Or do we...
It was from Mixer. I believe it was an introduction from Bob Apples, if I'm not
Yes.
mistaken.
There we go. So yeah, so basically,
I think we've known about each other for about what, 3-4 years now.
Yeah, it's quite a while because I was on Mixer and then I used to play Tarkov with Commies, and Commies then knew Bob Apples, and then Bob Apples knew you, and so on and so forth.
Commies, to be honest.
Yeah, maybe.
It really might have been through Commies.
And we, so we've known each other for quite a while, and I always remember because when it happened, obviously you reached out to me and spoke about it, and we had a good chat about it, and it's and I always find it very interesting that I always think there's always something that obviously happens in our lives that bring this on. I mean, don't get me wrong, it can be a lot of things. Yeah, exactly. Like with me, it was a lot of things, and then it was one thing that then obviously just absolutely bosh, and that was it.
The tower.
Exactly, and then break down the whole shebang for me, and so yeah, I find it very interesting, and I remember you sending me pictures of your dog and that, and it's
mate, I was in tears for nearly a week, maybe 2.
Exactly.
I couldn't move. I didn't want to move.
Yeah.
I didn't want to go downstairs. I think I stayed in my bedroom for like 2 weeks straight. The only place I went to was the bathroom to get to the toilet and obviously to have a shower and so on.
Yeah.
That's the only place I went to.
Yeah.
Because I didn't want to go downstairs, because every time I went downstairs, the silence.
Yeah.
That's the killer. The silence is the one that it hurts the most, especially when you lose a pet, because you're used to going downstairs, them greeting you, saying hello, and so on and so forth. And then when that's there and it's just silence, you kind of sit there and think, what's missing?
Yeah.
And then it's a hard one. It really is a hard one.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, looking on the upside, got a new dog.
Yes, so recently as well, right?
Yeah, recently my next door neighbor, she she had new work hours, and so it would have led to the dog being in the cage, me going to lay him out, and so on and so forth.
Mm-hmm.
So she come around one day, and the dog had a note in its mouth, and I was like, what's going on? Took the note out of its mouth, and he was like, will you adopt me? And I was like, yeah.
Love that.
Like, of course.
Love that.
So yeah, I've got he's 7 months old now, XL bully pup named Bruno. So things are looking on the up there, and he has helped me a lot. Like, I'm coming out of my shell a lot more. I'm speaking to people a lot more.
Mm-hmm.
I've not been streaming as much as I should. Probably should get on the grind back into that, but it is what it is.
Yeah.
Like for the past 2 days, all I've done is sat and open Pokemon cards.
Yes, that's another thing we need to talk about probably later on. But yes, it's
that's all I've done.
Yeah. Let's kind of go back, I suppose. I always like to speak to like my guests about kind of gaming history and where you kind of started and how gaming started. History. Yeah, yours.
Well, my gaming history is really weird, because I used to have a chipped Xbox 360.
Yeah.
So it had everything on. Could never go online with it, but it had everything on from... I can't remember. I don't know if you'll know it. There's a game. You used to be in a car, and you used to be able to hit things with hammers and like shoot rocket launchers at them and stuff. I can't remember what it's called.
There used to be a bike game called Road Rash that used to do that, but it's not. It began with a B.
No, it began with a B, and it was like all cartoon. It was a really good game. Well, that's where my gaming journey started, like in the 21st century, I'd say 20th century. But like back in the day, I used to play Pokemon on the Game Boys.
Yeah.
But my first ever online game, I used to go around my uncle's after school.
Mm-hmm.
And he used to have Call of Duty. I think it was the original Modern Warfare.
Yeah.
4, COD 4, the first one. I used to go around his house. I used to say, Uncle Rob, can I go on your Can I go in your game, please? And he'd go on then until dinner's ready. So I'd go on it and I'd change all his settings. Or sometimes I wouldn't ask him, I'd go on it, he'd come home from work and all his settings and classes would be changed. And he'd be like, what are you doing? I had them set up. And I'm like, but they're better. and that's where my online gaming started, was with Call of Duty 4. But then, obviously, with Call of Duty, when it went all futuristic and that, I kind of fell off Call of Duty, then went to more simpler games like Minecraft and like survival type games. I mean, my perfect ideal game is DayZ, or let's just say like a Walking Dead game. Yeah. That is really in depth. That is my ideal game. Yeah. I love survival games. I love FPS games like Tarkov. Yeah. It's like a game I've never played before.
Yeah, Tarkov is insane. But yeah, you grinded a lot on DayZ, Rust, and obviously very recently, for the people that don't know as well, is GTA. It's called RP, so roleplay. So yeah, so Side then actually plays as a character, and then you have to keep up that character throughout the whole of you playing that. Obviously, when you're talking to stream, you can be yourself, but when you're actually talking in game, you are then this character.
But also, going back to RP, like you were saying, you play as a character. At that point, you could also let out some frustrations that you're having in real life as well.
Exactly.
Which is also another form of escape. And that's why I think I took so much to RP.
Yeah, you went into RP big.
I adapted to it very well. Yeah. Because I wouldn't say I'm a fake person, but I enjoy creating things.
Yeah, but again, it's an escapism, isn't it? Like, as you say, like sometimes people, it's not like lying or not that, but adapting. But sometimes, like, and this is a big thing. This is why some people, get into like cosplay. This is why some people get into like role playing games, like as in not even computer games, like in real life, and
like that.
And then it goes on to online, because sometimes you do need. Like, there's so many different ways of escapism, and it can just be normal gaming. It can then just be role-playing. You're actually being someone totally, or you're being the person you want to be. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Sometimes that's a big thing. People play games because that's the person they want to be.
You can push the boundaries more.
Yeah, oh my God,
you can in real life. You can push it more, so you can be a bit more cheekier.
Yes.
You can be a bit more flirty. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that way, it's funny for other people.
Yep.
But also you're letting some steam off that you may not be able to do in normally. An IRL situation.
Yeah.
For example. And it is a very good escape, and I would recommend anyone to try it. If you want to try it, I would recommend people to try it.
Yeah.
As a form of escapism. Because for me personally, I think it's worked very well, and I have overcome a lot of things where I never thought it'd be possible.
I think so. Watching you and seeing how much you've kind of changed, like I think you've become a lot lot open.
I've developed more.
Yeah, without a doubt. And 100%. I think RP probably did that for you.
100%. Like like I always say, and I'll say it until the day that I cannot stream no more. Streaming saved my life, and it has for a lot of people.
Yeah.
I read a quote somewhere. I can't remember what it was, but it was along the lines of your story is someone else's survival guide.
Yeah.
And it reminisced with me, because the amount of messages that I've actually got from being an RP, talking about mental health on my streams and so on and so forth, the amount of messages I've got from people that are asking me for help, or that are saying, well, I want to do this, or I feel like this.
Yeah.
And there is places out there that can help you, like you've got Samaritan's Mind.
Yep.
And so on and so forth. But they're not known. They are really not known as much as they should be.
Yeah, 100%.
And that's why people feel stuck in their own mind, because they have no one to express themselves to.
Yeah, there's no out. I think there's not a lot of outlet. I mean, as gamers, right? I think in a way, like, and I'm not saying like, Side obviously said that he, gaming and streaming especially has saved his life and kind of kept him on the right. Kind of kept you on the right path. Whereas I know some people, and and this is where I want this whole podcast to realize, streaming and gaming is not always the way. That it can actually be the cause of your mental health and anxiety. Like, and I want people to understand that, you know, it is a double-edged sword. Like, it can be good, it can be bad. It just is obviously your personality, and everyone is different. With
it all depends on
me,
your situation and what type of mental illness you are dealing with at that time as well.
Exactly. So, you know, with me, I'm very similar, and for me, streaming is 100% my therapy, and it is my therapy. But it's not always about gaming, and I keep trying to tell this to people.
It's just helping you communicate with the outside world a bit more, where you can't do that in a real situation because of places are too overcrowded, or you don't like too many people around. And I'm the same. Like, I can't go into a shop where it's packed.
Yeah.
I'll happily sit outside for an hour and wait for the shop to be cleared and then go in.
Yeah.
Like, it's very only recently, since I've moved, I've actually started going out the house. Where I used to live, I didn't go out the house for a year, 2 or 3 years.
Yeah,
I think it was.
Yeah, and then that's another good thing about, obviously, the new dog is going to get you out more, because you need to go and walk him, and you know, and it's an exercise, which then exercise we all know is good for your mental health. You know, so it is this kind of thing, and it is. I just want to make sure people do understand that, you know, it isn't the fix, but it has been a very good fix for Side and myself.
It just depends what circumstance you're in, I suppose.
Definitely. I mean, I think just talking in general is such a big thing, and I'll keep saying this a lot on the podcasts, that Discord, and I know there's other services, but most people use Discord. If you are in a very nice Discord group, not toxic, not anything, you know, you've got people to talk to, like, nearly 24/7. Like, I think it's such a great help. Like, especially COVID wise. Like, you and me obviously got very, very close and chatted a lot over COVID because of the fact that,
bro,
you know, I was on furlough. You had just finished. You just quit your job, or you're on. I can't remember which way it was.
I didn't go back to work because I was on the sick, and it's been an ongoing issue ever since then.
You know, so your doctor signed you off, and then that was it, wasn't it? So, you know, and that was the thing. Like, we got kind of and again, we wouldn't have without Discord. You know, without that chatting service,
without COVID even happening.
Yeah. You know,
it's like I say, COVID brought a lot of people closer together than further apart.
Yeah.
It brought a lot of people, like communities, streamers. It brought everyone closer together, especially in the gaming community.
Yeah, definitely. So, yeah, I agree. And this is it. It's just getting people to talk about it, I suppose. So
it is. And then I'm the same. Like I said to you before we started, I was dreading that. And I still am. I'm, as you can see, I'm fiddling with my hands. I'm trying to keep myself occupied on other things.
So you need a fidget spinner,
I was
mate.
dreading this because I find it hard to speak out about problems. I find it hard to speak to people because I don't. The back of my mind, they're judging.
Yeah, of course, 100%.
They're either judging or they're being skeptical. Do you know what I mean? And that's part of the mental illness, part of the depression, part of anxiety.
Yeah.
You overlook things that are going on around you.
Yeah, it's actually really funny you said that, because I I do it a lot, and I think that people are definitely judging me, and I find it very hard to look people in the eyes when I'm in real life now, and where before I was just like, you know, just so out there and so crazy, and it just absolutely, you know, I would speak and chat to anyone. And then but also even in gaming life, you know, I sometimes think that, oh, someone sounds a bit off, the first thing I think is, have I done something wrong?
Yeah, I'm exactly the same. Like,
and it's crazy.
Between, like, when me and you have had a little we've had a bit of banter, and then we're both quiet, and we're like, well, have I upset him? Has he upset me? And we kind of like sit there for like 5 minutes in silence, and then one of us says something, and then it's fine again.
Yeah, and
it's that like slight space of suspense of not knowing what the other's thinking.
Yeah.
And it sends your mind into overdrive, and it
100%.
literally puts more coal on the fire, until you just can't take anymore.
Yeah.
And then you sat there, you're like, well, now I feel awkward. What do I do?
Yeah, exactly. Very true. So we've kind of, obviously, when your mental health and all that kind of obviously started, and anxiety hit big at the very beginning, what are your kind of, because obviously you went to the doctors, because obviously I spoke to you and said, look, I went to the doctors, go try and talk to them, they'll either sign you off and talk about medication and blah blah blah. What kind of route did you go, and where are you now?
Well, I went to the doctors, spoke to them, obviously over the phone.
Yeah.
Didn't want to go out the house at the time,
Mhm.
so spoke to them over the phone. They was like, well, we need to see you. And I was like, well, I don't want to leave the house. Like, I refuse to leave the house.
Yeah.
And in the end, they wouldn't speak to me over the phone. They had to see me there. So it took me a few days. I went there, where my mum took me. I walked in. I spoke to the doctor. Halfway through the conversation, I walked out. I couldn't handle it anymore. I was sweating. I was drowned in sweat. I was darting my eyes everywhere. I just didn't know. I wanted to leave. I was very uncomfortable. I was sweating. I just wanted to get out of there. So I left. Got in the car. Mum come out. Got in the car. We went. And the doctor rang me back the next day and said, right, this is what we think that the diagnosis is.
Yeah.
And at the time, I think it was anxiety and depression. That was it. That's all they diagnosed me with.
Yeah.
They said, we're just going to put you on some tablets.
Yeah.
They didn't give me any other option but tablets. And that's what I do not like.
Yeah.
I hate taking tablets. Don't like it. I'd rather not be on tablets for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
It's just me personally.
Of course, 100%. Yeah.
It's just something I'm not wanting to do.
Yeah.
I take them though still. Don't want them. I regret taking them every day, but I do to keep myself on, the rails as such.
Yeah.
So a few months went by. They kept putting me on the sick for every 3 months.
Yeah.
Then they decided to change my tablets again. They decided to up the dosage because they didn't think it was working. They gave it a run of a few months. That didn't work, so they decided to change the tablets altogether. Ran that for a few months. That didn't work, so they put me on the old tablets on my old dosage.
Yeah.
But if they're not going to work the first time, and I've tried 2 other options, and they are definitely not going to work the second time because it's the same tablets and the same dosage.
Yeah.
And it's like, I'll say to them, for example, universal credit. If you guys don't know what universal credit is, it's what you get when you don't work from the government.
Yeah.
So they ring me up, want you to come down to look at job things. I don't leave the house. Don't care. You don't come down, you don't get your money. Then it puts you under more stress.
Yeah.
See, in the situation, you feel like there's no actual escape because you think there's a gate open, barrier. You think there's a gate open, barrier.
Yeah.
There's no way past it. Like, I've had this argument now for 2 years with Universal Credit that I don't go out the house. I rarely go out the house.
Yeah.
I only go out the house if I feel up to it. If I feel up to it, I'll go out. If I don't like it, I will walk home.
Yeah.
And that's what they struggle to understand. That with agoraphobia, you do not leave the house unless you're having a good day.
Yeah.
And even if I do leave the house, if I look out the window and I see, because obviously I've moved and live in a new house now.
Yeah.
If I see a group of builders outside my house, I won't go out. I'll stay in. I'll go in the back garden with a dog and play with a dog or something.
Yeah. Yeah, but I mean, it's
don't listen.
The hardest thing I always think is that it's old school mentality, and that's with regards to obviously people's thinking about mental health, and as in with regards to like the government and like things need to change about everything. In our lives, I think our lives have changed within. Do you know what? Within 10 years, like the whole world has changed massively.
The whole demographic has changed
massively.
The whole thing.
And
especially because of COVID as well. We've all had to adjust because of that.
Yeah, and the government and whoever's running all these kind of things, they're just behind the time, and it's hard because we are them.
100%.
We are them kind of guinea pigs where we are gonna feel it most.
Yeah, we're trialed and tested.
Yeah.
Pretty much, but then at the other hand, being trialed and tested doesn't help.
No, of course not.
It just adds to the problem.
Mm-hmm.
Where if they'd have actually got I don't know, let's say a group of people with mental health issues, and they try different things on the same group of people every time they wanted to try something, it wouldn't be as bad.
Yeah, of course. But that's us talking about it and not actually the real people need to talk about it and listen and fix things.
I mean, there's not really you can do, is there? It's like you're fighting a losing battle. You're fighting an unextinguishable fire, in a sense. Yeah.
Yep, it is. So with obviously your mental health now, you say it is getting slightly better. Is that so? Are you obviously you're still on the same tablets, but is there any? I
am still on the same tablets. Yeah. Because obviously we've moved. The new doctor wants to sit us. Because they're going to give me a sick note for a month this time because they want to see me. And
that's good in a way because it's a new. Themselves. Yeah, that's
but
good.
But what I am pleased about is, do you remember when I said when I was at the old doctors, they only said anxiety, agoraphobia, and depression.
Yeah.
Moving over to the new doctors, they've cast it as severe anxiety, agoraphobia, and depression.
Okay.
So it's not just anxiety, it's not just that. It's now noticeable that it's affecting my day-to-day life and so on and so forth.
Which is good because
at least that way they are noticing.
Which is good because then hopefully they might then obviously offer other things, not just pills, but as in
this is what I'm hoping.
Therapy, like they can do online therapy, and a lot of it now because of COVID. There's online therapy. There is then obviously, we spoke about this a lot on the podcast before, but it's like mindfulness and meditation and all this, and it didn't work for me, but it can work for other people.
I mean, I've tried like exercises, like breathing exercises and so on and so forth. Like personally, they don't work.
Yeah.
By all means, I'd say if you are suffering with a panic attack, so on and so forth, try them.
Yeah.
They may work, they may not.
For panic attacks, they work for me. So if I know I'm going to get into a panic attack, I'm having a panic attack, I know breathing exercises and I know fidget toys and other things are amazing for me because they send my mind away.
Anything, I'll sit here, like now, as you can see, I keep moving my hands. I look like an evil mastermind or something. But it's just a way of me being able to talk whilst distracting myself. So like the things that I want to say are coming out because my mind's focused on what's in my hand rather than what I'm saying.
Yeah, definitely. I agree with that. No, for sure.
That way it helps me open up more with people, with doctors and so on and so forth. Like if I'm on the phone to someone, I'll sit there and I'll draw stars on a piece of paper or I'll doodle with a pen or something.
Yeah.
So that way I can actually focus on what I'm saying rather than just sitting there going, yeah, okay, right, here's my mum.
Yeah.
Because obviously my mum suffered with anxiety and depression as well, so I kind of feel like it's a burden for her.
Oh, of course, also. Because she worries though about you, which then obviously affects her.
And that adds on to more stress of her.
Yeah. And then that will then stress you out because your mum's stressing, and that stresses you out.
Literally, it's just a vicious circle.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
Obviously, there is a means to an end. It's just finding the right path that suits you, I suppose.
Yeah. What would your end goal want to be?
To be back to the way I was, mate. I used to work in retail.
Right.
I used to work in retail. I used to love talking to people. I used to work on a fun fair. I used to talk to people all the time.
Yeah.
I used to speak to people. I used to interact with people. And it just feels like I've shut myself off from the world for so long. Like, for example, insomnia, can't go to that.
Yeah.
TwitchCon, can't go to that. It's affecting what I want to do. Like, I would love to go to TwitchCon.
Yeah.
Like, watching the IOP boys go there.
Yeah.
Just watching it and seeing how much fun they have, I was like, yeah, I want to go to that. Oh, no, I can't because my fucking brain don't let me. Brilliant.
Yeah.
And it's stuff like that really affects you when you want to do something fun, but then your brain's saying, yeah, but there's people going to be talking about you. And it's like...
Yeah, of course.
You're just fighting a losing battle with yourself at that point.
Yeah.
But end goal for me, I would love to get back to the way I normally am, speaking to people, opening up, going out, going for meals, and so on and so forth.
That's nice, though. That's good that you've got a goal. Like, that's a really, really good thing that you've got a goal.
Whether it's in sight, it's a different story, but the goal's there.
I think, mate, sometimes I think that the hardest thing is a goal, and then also one of the hardest things is admitting you've got issues. And, you're brave enough to
That
come
is
on and
one
talk about
thing.
it, and which is
Well,
amazing.
brave, I don't know about.
100%, mate. Everyone that comes on here,
Ah,
100%, really are, because it's that thing, isn't it? You're very much like me, and you talk about it, and I think that people are then judging, and all that kind of stuff. And yes, I have them feelings, but we still do it, and that
I've kind of, with the judging thing with people, I've kind of just learnt to suppress it and just ignore it.
yeah,
Because the worse that you focus on people judging you, like you were saying a minute ago with the comments on your videos,
yeah,
the more you focus on the negativity, the more negative you are going to become because
yeah,
of that
yeah.
comment.
Yep, I didn't want to put
And
any social
then,
media out the day after.
yeah,
I literally
exactly,
didn't want to do
exactly.
it, but I did.
But
I forced myself to do it, but yeah,
people just don't understand, like, the slightest thing, especially with mental health, with people that suffer with mental health, depression, anxiety, the slightest thing can trigger somebody.
yeah,
Like, I don't know, for example, saying your mum, that could trigger something.
hmm,
Saying, I don't know, you stink, it can trigger something in somebody. Like, I don't know, a past comment that they've
yeah,
heard
of
about
course,
themselves. It triggers that, and then it just makes them go into a deeper and deeper hole.
yeah,
And that's what people need to understand. Like, yeah, banter's okay, hate's okay. Like, hate is okay, because there's always going to be hate in the world.
and there's always hate, yeah, always
There's
toxic
always going to be
people.
hate in the world, but it's the way that you deal with that hate that determines who you are.
Mhm.
In a
Very
way.
true. No, it's true, mate. It is. And I always say this. I always used to, like, especially nowadays, it annoys me a lot that people, like, send messages or, that type. And I know in business, people have to send messages for, like, covering their back kind of reasons, so they have to do
Yeah.
that. But, like, if you sent me a message and I was having a pretty rubbish day, I
Mhm.
could read that message. However, I could read it positive. I could read it
It
negative.
depends how you.
Exactly. And
Your frame of mind determines how the outcome is.
but also as well, how you reply and how you message. And
Yeah.
it really is. But then when I like speak to someone on the phone or Discord or voice or video call or whatever, you then know normally straight away tone of the voice, facial expressions,
Yeah.
and all of that. And that's why I still think, like, yes, we are very lucky to have all this amazing technology that we can do, Zoom calls and Microsoft Teams and Discord and blah, blah, blah. And it's brilliant. But we still need that social interaction to learn,
How to
these
deal with it,
social
like,
skills, and
there
you
and
need to,
then.
you need to go out, but always take it in the steps you want to take slowly, really, really slow, or however you want to do it. Like, and it's like with you at the moment, like you said, you haven't been outside the house really for 2 years. Then all of a sudden, got the new dog. You're starting to take slowly steps to take the dog for a walk. Yes, you're still obviously looking outside and you're always worried if there's people there, what they're thinking. But
Yeah.
you are
100%.
taking the right steps and you are doing
Yeah,
it
I'm trying to
in
think,
your pace.
especially when it comes to that, I'm trying to think positively. Like, when I look outside and I see people there, I try and look positive, but then there's always that demon there trying to
Course.
fight back,
Always,
if that
yeah.
makes sense.
Yeah.
And it's then a battle between yourself and yourself.
Yeah.
Which it always has been, but
Yep.
at that point you kind of see the realization of it and
Yep.
see that it's yourself against yourself. You're
Mhm.
only battling against yourself, and looking at it that way kind of gives you a lighter mindset on everything else.
Yeah. Yep, I agree. And it is. I think it's definitely a fight between yourself because, I do that, and I'm a big lad, and like I would
You and
love
me
to
both,
be.
pal.
I would love
It's all
to.
paid for, kid. It's all paid for.
I'd love to be slimmer. I really would, but I
Oh.
go out and I think people are judging me of the way I look. Always.
Mate,
And it's
I-
mad. Like I
I-
put a shirt on over the top, like an overshirt, and sometimes I will go out and I am sweating so much because I've
I'm
got
always
more
in baggy
clothes on.
because of it.
Exactly. Yeah. And
I'm the same, bro. Like,
it's a similar
I'll
thing,
sit there having a meal with somebody, or like, and I'll be sitting there and I'll be eating them, and I'll look up and someone will be like, even if they've just
If
like
they're
looked up and looked at me and looked
yeah,
back down. Do you
not
know what I
really
mean?
looking.
I'll be
Yeah.
thinking, what are they thinking?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I don't want to eat this now.
Yeah.
And it's hard because it's the way society's been formed now.
Mhm. Yep.
Like, especially, like, obviously me, I was bullied in school, I was picked on for being big, blah,
Yeah.
blah, blah. You know, the same old fat kid story,
Yeah.
you know? But I've kind of learned to embrace it. Like, I am who I am. You don't like it, don't speak to me. You don't have to be my friend. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I've kind of took that mentality on, but at the same time, that mentality can also develop into another mental health issue.
Mm-hmm.
Because then you don't care about things. You start getting sadistic
Yeah,
and
of
so on
course.
and so forth.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely.
It's all to do, mental health really, in my eyes, it's all to do with the way society shapes and looks at you.
Yeah.
And that's the way then you shape around that.
Yeah. Yeah, true. It is. It's a really tough one, isn't it? Because, and I always say that we all go through like the same thing, but it's always very different as well, if that makes sense. And it's really
like
interesting the stories we talk about.
Twist that something's different.
Yeah.
Like, it's normally the same path, but then the path branches off.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's always that slight branch off that's different.
Yeah.
But normally the direct path is always the same.
Yeah. And it is, and this is why I do these things, because I'm so fascinated about chatting to people, and because also as well, I fully admit me doing the podcast helps me. I fully admit.
Yeah. I can see when you do the podcast, I can see how much you are invested in it.
Oh mate, 100%.
How much I am going to say it, how much you thrive off it, because you can see that you're doing a good thing.
Yeah.
So then, in retrospect, that makes you feel better about yourself and your
definitely.
thing.
Yeah.
Because like today, there might be something that I've spoke about that can help you.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
vice versa. And that's why I like the idea, because anyone watching anything that we've said or that you've said in the past podcasts can help somebody else. Like I've said, your story is someone else's survival guide.
Yeah. And I love that. And it's very interesting, like, because you get these things that are, and it is if you do good things, then you normally feel better about yourself. And and it's these little things, like, I know there's a lot of things on social media where people are going around and they're, filming someone go and give someone like £1,000 or that's
exactly. It's all ill intent behind it.
100%. That is, but so I used to, and again, I'm not saying this again for clout or anything like that. So I never drink tea or coffee. I drink coffee now, but I never drink tea and coffee when I'm out and about. So if I go to, like, if it was like a Greg's or McDonald's or whatever it was, and they give you a free coffee or a free drink for whatever, I would always take a coffee. Always, and I would give it to the first homeless person I see on the street. Because and that's just, again, they need it. I don't want it. I'm not going to use it. I've got no use for it. But doing that actually made me feel better. In these little ways, made me have a bit of a spring in my step and all that, which is good, for you. But then, as I say, these people now are taking it a little bit far on social media, and as you say, they're doing it for the clout, and that then bugs me a little bit. Yeah, well, that's social media, mate, ain't it? Yeah.
That's the problem with social media these days. It's everything is done for clout.
Yeah.
Everything has an ill intent of it now around social media. For example, Jake Paul, Logan. Do you know what I mean?
Definitely.
There's always some ill intent, or there's always some hate. Like, for example, that Mr. UK TikTok, for example. Now, I do feel sorry for that bloke.
Actually, don't think I know him.
Absolutely tortured on that, mate. And I mean tortured. He gets his hat stolen on his lives. People come up and take his phone.
Oh, really?
He gets called
every name under the sun.
Names that I don't really want to say.
Yeah, of course, 100%. Yeah.
Begins with an N.
Yeah.
You can kind of, you know what I mean? And it's like his mental health must be distraught. Yeah. And if it's not, fair play to the bloke for staying strong. Don't get me wrong. Don't agree with some of the stuff he does.
I have to have a look now. I don't even know what it is now, so I have to have a look at some point.
He's meant to be the biggest TikToker in the UK and all this. He acts like, but some of the stuff he does do for clout. Like, for example, I seen it wasn't him. It wasn't actually his video, but I was scrolling through TikTok. I seen a video, and he's going, he's been stabbed, quick. And instead of actually putting the phone down and ringing an ambulance,
and actually helping,
he sits there doing a TikTok.
Yeah.
Oscar-winning performance, mate.
Yeah.
I tell you, Oscar, the kid was fake crying and everything. Oscar-winning performance. So at that point, you think, well, is that staged,
Yeah.
or is he actually
100%.
being kind and helping somebody?
Yeah.
And
Essentially, yeah.
it's that counteracts the people that, well, actually, I do feel sorry for him, but wait, no, he's done that. Actually, I don't.
And this is the thing,
Do
isn't
you
it?
know
Now
what I
you don't
mean?
know what's real and what's not real, and you know what to take serious and what not to take serious. And this is this whole fake news, and this is why, like, social media for me, like, is for me, social media in business is a must. Like, you have to. Like,
You
for
have a
a
business mindset in
business,
social media.
clothing brand, like whatever it is for business.
I mean, you
like,
know that yourself with obviously
Exactly.
you doing your old clothing.
Yeah.
I don't know if you still do it now, but
Yeah,
your
well,
clothing
we're
brand that you do.
relaunching it actually. So that's
Ooh.
in the next few weeks, I'm hoping. So
Very nice bit of self-promo there, look.
exactly,
See?
I
Come
know,
up with all
right?
the ideas, me.
But it is like social media is amazing, and yet it's a must for business. Now,
Oh,
the
100%.
issue
It's a
is
different outlet, isn't it? So
Yeah.
you can
it's gone,
connect
and
with
it's
different
yeah,
groups of people.
yeah. I just worry because it is always that thing. You look at social media, and someone's doing something amazing, and then someone else is doing something amazing. Someone else is doing something amazing, and all of a sudden you're like, why are all these people doing something amazing? That must mean I'm not very good,
Yeah,
or I'm
there's
not.
always that negative mindset of yourself. It's the same with like streaming.
Exactly.
Like I've been coming to you recently, as you can,
Yeah.
yourself, with my followers, my viewers. Like
Mhm.
ever since I wouldn't say stopped doing RP, but took a break from RP,
Yep. Things dropped.
everything's dropped, and
Mhm.
now I'm sitting there thinking, well, am I worth it? Am I good enough to get the views that I was getting before?
Yeah.
What's changed? What have I done?
Yeah.
Have I changed?
Yeah.
And then all them things go through your mind, especially as a streamer, because I'm guaranteed you've done it yourself.
Oh,
You've been
100%.
there. Do you know what I mean? I'm assuming every streamer has at some point.
Yeah.
Even the top people. Do you know what I
Definitely.
mean?
Yeah,
That are
yeah,
on the
yeah.
big level.
Yeah.
But there's not much talk about how to overcome that mental state.
Yeah, the thing is, and I actually I spoke last week about this, and so again, social media like doesn't force you, but forces you, I suppose, to think differently. And there's loads of people going on about saying, right, you should be playing these games or this type of game because of the fact that it gets these numbers, this, blah, 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 blah. You have to think, like, everyone gamed or started game before streaming. You game to have fun and to escape, right?
Yep. 100%.
As soon as streaming comes in, then you start worrying about numbers. You start worrying about.
You start having a business mindset.
Yeah, but then all of a sudden, you're then not enjoying the games that you're playing. I.e., you stopped RP because you wasn't enjoying it as much, right?
Yeah,
so you shouldn't go back into RP just to get your numbers back. Like, and this is me personally.
And this is why I've kind of avoided going back.
Yes.
I've kind of played Tarkov because I'm showing. It's also, I wouldn't say it's a stance for myself, but I'm showing people that I'm not going to bow down to their expectations.
Oh, definitely, 100%.
And it's kind of like a statement at the same time as well.
But you'll get the people that were truly wanting to follow you and truly want to kind of be in your community. They'll come over, they'll follow, and the people that don't, it's fine. It doesn't matter. Yes, it is very sad that some people that you kind of got close to.
Some people are just there for a certain type of content.
Exactly.
I do understand that.
Yeah,
but at the same time, it's also disheartening to see that your numbers have dropped so dramatically.
Yeah.
Like I've gone from, I think I was on 20 to 30 views a stream.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
To probably about less than 5 now.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's disheartening, but at the same time, you've got to also look at the bigger picture. You've changed game, you've changed audience type, you've changed age groups now because of the game's more mature.
Yep, definitely.
You've got to look at everything as a whole, and then once you step back and actually look at everything as a whole, you think, actually, it's not that bad because now I'm engaging in a different audience, and then I can grow bigger from that, and everything as a whole just gets actually bigger.
Yeah, and the nicest thing, because then if you ever go back to RP, the original people that started following you and was still
still
there
gonna
through
gonna
that.
be
They're
there to
then going to be
watch.
there to watch, and then if you go and play
Mm.
something else, they'll be there to watch that, and they're there, and that's why I like it, because they're there to watch you. Like, and this is why I watch some of the big streamers. I will not watch because I don't actually like them in the nicest possible way. I'm just not a fan of that. I mean, that's the
It's the
great
same with me, like,
variety of Twitch.
sometimes I
You
don't
know?
like to watch streamers that, let's say you say hello in the chat, or I don't know, you follow them and they don't thank you for the
Yeah,
follow,
of course.
or they don't acknowledge that you're there.
Yep.
I don't like that.
Yeah, see, I'm the
So
same.
I
I
will
like.
unfollow that person and not watch.
Yeah, but then there are big streamers that I will go into, and I will watch them because of them. Obviously, I always started watching them because of the game they play. That's how I found them in the first place. But now, but now I watch them because I think they're amazing and I love their content and I enjoy them. You know,
That's the only problem with social media. It can destroy or make a human, and that's what kind of don't like. But then at the same time, I'm a streamer.
Yeah, exactly.
It's really weird.
Yeah, very true. Yeah, it's so true. Like, it's just mad. Like, yeah, I mean, this is it, isn't it? Social media and all that. But yeah, mate, it's been wicked having you on.
Bro, honestly, it's been a pleasure, mate. It really has been fun.
Good.
I've loved it. You know, opening up, speaking about my own story.
Yeah.
Obviously, enlightening people of what works for me, what doesn't work for me, and then they can obviously attempt them scenarios and them fixes themselves.
Yeah.
To see if it can develop them.
Yeah.
Just one more quote I want to read out to you.
Yeah, go for it.
So it was a quote, and it was a Tom Hardy quote, and do you understand how much this is true? It is crazy. So, Tom Hardy once said, being alone for a while is dangerous. It's addicting. Once you see how peaceful it is, you don't want to deal with people anymore. That is so true.
Yeah, very. Very.
It's very true, because once you see how quiet it is and you don't have to deal with everyone's bullshit.
Yep.
It is addicting because you're at peace. You're in a zone.
Yeah.
It's very quiet. You don't have to deal with shit.
Yeah.
That is one thing that I will agree with.
Yeah. Yeah,
Definitely.
I think you have to. It's just, and obviously, you just have to make sure that, you know, that loneliness then doesn't turn into your mind then kind of talking bad things into yourself and all that kind of stuff. And
that's
I think
why
that's
it is addictive. It's not a good quote, but it's a good thing to keep at the back of your mind and know for yourself that it is not a good thing to be alone.
Yeah.
And to speak to people and to open up to people is more of a better option than to keeping quiet and keeping yourself.
Exactly. And that's what we always say. We always say that here, like talking, like the whole thing.
Oh, exactly.
Yeah.
Like, I feel so much better for the stuff that I've spoke about today.
Nice.
In myself.
Good.
And to know that it could help somebody else is even better.
Exactly.
But yeah.
Any last things you want to say? I know you said the quote, but anything else?
That's it, mate.
Awesome.
Appreciate you having me, and hopefully I'll be on again soon.
Exactly. So the idea we always like to try, and I haven't had anyone back yet because obviously the roster's been crazy with people wanting to come on, which has been amazing.
Everyone's onto it, isn't it?
So, but I do want to get back, and even if I do one podcast where it's just like 5 minutes of everyone that I've done or something like that, but we'll work something out at some point in the next couple of months for sure.
Obviously, off the podcast, I want to talk to you about an idea I thought of just sitting there, to be fair.
All right, sweet, perfect.
Crazy
Love that.
how many ideas I come up with.
Exactly.
But yeah, we'll talk obviously off podcast. But yeah, it's been a pleasure, mate.
Good.
Appreciate you having me on. Appreciate you letting me talk about my story and to
100%.
give my point of view on mental health. And yeah, like you said, it is a double-edged sword.
Mm-hmm.
Some people get along with it, some people don't. Just depends on what path you're on.
Exactly. So all of Side's all of his like connections and all that kind of stuff, and all of his links will be all over the comments, descriptions, all that type of stuff. So again, if you want to obviously go and see him live and obviously talk to him about any mental health stuff that we brought up today, I'm sure he'd be happy to talk to you about it.
100%. Even if you are having your own bad day, my DMs are always open.
Exactly.
Message me on Discord or private message me on Twitch, whisper me.
Yeah.
But yeah, and obviously someone else wanted to say something. Escapism, say goodbye, you know.
And if you don't know who that was, that is his RP character.
Sorry, I had to put it in there. Had to be done.
So yeah, thank you very much, Side. I am going to sign off, and we'll speak to you in a bit. No worries, dude.
Okay, I'll catch you soon. Peace, bro.
Cheers, dude. Bye. Guys, that was awesome. Like, really, really good. Like, I've known Side for quite a while, and it's kind of interesting that I know like a lot about Side and how kind of, you know, the dealing with obviously with the death of his pet and everything, and you know, and it's rough, but we've been through quite a lot together, and it was really nice to actually have him on and chat, and it was just great. So so obviously thank you very much to Side for that. Everyone else, again, thank you so much for listening, watching, whatever you're doing, however you're watching, listening, whatever it is. I appreciate it so much. And yeah, if you did find this video obviously helpful, and you know, and the podcast helpful, please obviously share it, like it, you know, all of the above. And as always, I hope you have a fantastic rest of your week, and always look after your mental health.